Welcome back to another episode of Valuable Coins, where we dive deep into the world of numismatics, uncovering the most valuable and unique coins in the market today. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or simply interested in the incredible value of rare coins, you're in the right place. In today's video, we will explore two of the most fascinating and expensive United States coins currently circulating the auction market. First, up the 1968 Washington Silver Quarter, a coin with a large date and no mint mark that's in dirty condition and has a unique black color shade. We'll talk about its history, design features, and what it's worth in today's market. Let's get started. The year 1968 marked a significant moment in U.S. history. The country was experiencing major social and political changes, with events like the Civil Rights Movement and the Vietnam War dominating the news. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins for circulation, including the Washington Silver Quarter. The 1968 Washington Quarter was part of a series of quarters that began in 1932 to honor the first U.S. President, George Washington. By 1968, the coin's design had remained largely unchanged for decades. The 1968 Washington Silver Quarter, a coin with a large date and no mint mark that's in dirty condition and has a unique black color shade. We'll talk about its history, design features, and what it's worth in today's market. Let's get started. The year 1968 marked a significant moment in U.S. history. The country was experiencing major social and political changes, with events like the Civil Rights Movement and the Vietnam War dominating the news. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins for circulation, including the Washington Silver Quarter. The 1968 Washington Quarter was part of a series of quarters that began in 1932 to honor the first U.S. President, George Washington. By 1968, the coin's design had remained largely unchanged for decades, except for some modifications to the reverse and adjustments to coin production as silver was being phased out of circulation. Now, let's break down the design of the 1968 Washington Quarter. On the obverse, we see a portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's face is centered on the coin, with the inscription "Liberty" above and the year 1968 below. You'll also find the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the left of Washington's bust. On the reverse side, the eagle is perched with outstretched wings, holding arrows and an olive branch, symbolizing peace and strength. The words "United States of America" and "Quarter Dollar" are inscribed around the edges, with the E Pluribus Unum motto above the eagle's wings. An interesting feature of the 1968 Washington Quarter is the large date. In this year, the Mint used a large-size numeral for the 1968 year, which is something collectors pay attention to, as it can differentiate this coin from earlier or later years in the series. Let's discuss the condition of this particular coin. This 1968 Washington Quarter is in dirty condition, which is a key factor in its current market value. The black color shade you see here is likely the result of environmental factors like exposure to moisture, dirt, or even prolonged storage. Over time, these conditions can lead to discoloration and tarnishing, giving the coin a unique but worn appearance. Coins in dirty condition typically don't fetch high prices compared to those in higher grades like extra fine or uncirculated. However, the black color shading may interest collectors who appreciate coins with a bit of character, or those who specialize in coins that have been affected by natural processes. Now, let's get to the most important part: the value of the 1968 Washington Quarter in today's market. Because this coin is in dirty condition and features the black color shade, its value is a bit lower than a well-maintained coin. In today's market, you can expect to see this quarter valued around 2,000 coins. In mint state or uncirculated condition could fetch between 2,500, but because of the dirt and discoloration on this specific coin, its value is on the lower end of that spectrum. The 1968 Washington Quarter has a relatively large mintage, which keeps its value more accessible for collectors. However, if you find a well-preserved 1968 quarter with no discoloration or wear, it could be worth more. The coin's silver content is also something to keep in mind. This quarter is made of 90% silver, which means it carries some intrinsic value just from its metal content alone. So, why do collectors care about the 1968 Washington Quarter, especially in a condition like this? For some, it's the large date that makes this year unique. Others appreciate the coin's history and the fact that it's part of the Washington Quarter Series, which has been a staple of U.S. coinage for decades. Next up, the 1990 Silver Washington Quarter Dollar with D mint mark in extra fine condition. If you're wondering what this coin is worth in today's market, stick around because we're going to break down all the details for you. Let's start with some background information. The Washington Quarter has been one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, first issued in 1932 to honor the first president, George Washington. Since then, it's been a staple of U.S. coinage. Now, while the early quarters were made of silver, the 1990 Washington Quarter is part of the modern clad coinage. Since 1965, U.S. quarters have been produced with a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning the 1990 Washington Quarter doesn't contain silver. But even though the 1990 Washington Quarter isn't made of silver, it still has a lot of historical significance, and as a part of the Washington Quarter series, it's something many collectors enjoy adding to their collections. Next, let's talk about the mint mark. This particular 1990 Washington Quarter features a D mint mark, which tells us that it was struck at the Denver Mint. Out of the two main minting facilities for quarters, the Denver Mint produced the majority of coins, including those from 1990. The D mint mark is common, but it's still an important part of identifying the origin of your coin. Extra fine condition means the coin is in great shape, with minimal wear. You can still see all the sharp details of George Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse. The only signs of wear will typically be on the highest points, like the top of Washington's hair or the wings of the eagle. When it comes to coin values, condition plays a crucial role. Coins are graded based on the sharpness of their design, their wear, and the overall appearance. The higher the grade, the higher the value. For example, a coin in mint state which is almost perfect would be worth more than one in extra fine condition. But a coin in extra fine condition is still highly desirable and holds its value well, especially for coins that are a few decades old. Since this coin is made from copper-nickel and isn't made of silver, its value is mainly driven by its condition and demand in the collector's market. Right now, a 1990 Washington Quarter in extra fine condition typically ranges between $1 and $2.50 in today's market. It's not a rare or particularly valuable coin in terms of face value, but its condition makes it worth a little more than just 25 cents. Of course, market conditions and demand can influence the value. If a collector is specifically looking for quarters from the late 1980s and early 1990s in pristine condition, they might pay a bit more for a high-quality coin. Like this one. One option is to visit a local coin shop where they can offer you a fair price based on the condition of your coin. Keep in mind that dealers typically offer less than the retail value to account for their profit margin. Another option is to sell your coin online through platforms like eBay or other online marketplaces. If you want to get top dollar for your coin, listing it as part of a set or highlighting its extra fine condition can help attract the right buyers. Next up, the 1982 Washington Quarter Dollar with the D mint mark in black color shade and dirty condition. You might be wondering how valuable could this little coin be? Well, you might be in for a surprise. Let's start with a bit of background on the Washington Quarter itself. This quarter series was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design on the front, or obverse side, features a profile of Washington himself, sculpted by John Flanagan. On the reverse, we see a majestic eagle, symbolizing the strength and resilience of the United States. So, what makes the 1982 D Mint Quarter unique and valuable? For starters, coins from 1982 didn't have any official mint sets, which makes finding high-quality versions even harder. As a result, quarters from this year, especially ones in unusual conditions, are rarer and more sought after. Now let's talk about this particular coin. A 1982 D quarter with a dark or black shade and in dirty condition. This unique look could result from environmental exposure over the years or certain natural chemical reactions that cause the surface to darken. While not exactly pristine, these coins have an appeal to collectors because of the unique look that differentiates them from the regular circulation pieces. Generally, collectors and appraisers prefer coins in mint condition. However, certain imperfections or environmental damage, like dirt accumulation, dark patinas, or color variations, can make a coin stand out. For the 1982 D Washington quarter, the black shade and dirty condition create a unique patina that some collectors find intriguing. These dirty coins can also be valued by collectors who seek coins with stories, pieces that have seen years of wear and possess an almost historical character. So how much can this black-shaded dirty 1982 D Washington quarter fetch in today's auction market? Well, the value of coins can fluctuate based on several factors including condition, rarity, demand, and unique characteristics. For this particular coin, a standard 1982 D quarter in circulated condition without any notable coloring or damage might be worth around its face value $49,000. However, those with distinct color shades or dirty conditions can catch the eye of specialized collectors. Now, before you think about cleaning your old or dirty quarters, here's an important tip. Avoid cleaning rare coins. Cleaning can damage the surface and actually decrease the value. Many collectors prefer the natural look, complete with the original dirt or patina that developed over decades. If you own a 1982 D Washington quarter in a dirty condition, consider preserving it as is. Store it in a safe, dry place, ideally in a coin sleeve or case to avoid further damage. Next up today, we're taking a close look at a 1980 Washington quarter dollar with P mint mark. That's seen better days, it's in dirty condition. But even with all that dirt and wear, is it still worth anything in today's market? Stick around and we'll find out. First, let's start with some quick history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. It's one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, featuring the famous portrait of Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. But by 1980, these quarters were no longer made of silver. Since 1965, the U.S. Mint began producing quarters using a copper-nickel-clad composition to replace the more expensive silver. So, the 1980 Washington quarter you see here is actually a copper-nickel coin, not silver. Now, let's talk about the mint mark. This quarter has a P mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint. 1980 was actually one of the first years that the Philadelphia Mint started using a P mint mark on quarters. Prior to 1980, coins struck in Philadelphia didn't have any mint mark at all. That P mint mark is an important detail, as it helps us identify where this coin was made. Even though Philadelphia quarters are very common, the mint mark is a nice historical touch. A coin in dirty condition usually has reduced appeal for collectors because the details are harder to see. On this 1980 quarter, the dirt and tarnish make it difficult to fully appreciate the fine details of Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse. When it comes to coin values, condition is everything. Coins are graded based on how well their details are preserved, with grades ranging from poor to mint state. A dirty coin like this one would typically fall somewhere between good and very good condition, depending on how much dirt or wear it has. The more visible the dirt, the lower the grade. So, what's the value of a 1980 Washington quarter with a P mint mark in dirty condition in today's market? Because this coin isn't made of silver and it's in poor condition, its value is relatively low. In most cases, a dirty 1980 Washington quarter is worth between 25 cents and 50 cents. Even though it has some historical value, the condition significantly lowers its market value. It's important to remember that collectors are usually looking for coins in better condition with clear details and a clean appearance. So, while this coin may not be worth much, it still has some value as a piece of U.S. history. If you have a dirty coin like this one, you might be tempted to clean it. But should you? In most cases, the answer is no. Cleaning a coin can actually lower its value, especially if you use harsh chemicals or abrasives that can scratch the surface. Professional coin collectors prefer coins in their original condition, even if they're dirty. So, unless you're dealing with a very low-value coin and you're just experimenting, it's usually best to leave it as it is. If you're thinking about selling this 1980 Washington quarter, you have a few options. You can take it to a local coin shop where they may offer you a small amount above face value, or you can list it online. Next up, the 1970 Washington silver quarter with a large date and no mint mark, and we're focusing on one in extra fine condition. So, how much is this beauty worth in today's market? Let's find out. The 1970 Washington silver quarter is a standout in the world of U.S. coins. With a large date and a no mint mark, it's part of a regular minting process, but when it's in extra fine condition, it really catches the eye of collectors. Now let's talk about what extra fine condition means. A coin in extra fine condition has minimal wear and tear with just slight signs of use. The details are still sharp and the coin looks almost as if it's been in circulation for only a short time. You'll notice the features of George Washington and the eagle on the reverse are still crisp and clear. Coins like the 1970 Washington silver quarter with a large date and no mint mark are generally worth a bit more when they're in extra fine condition. In today's market, this coin is typically valued between $300. Of course, prices can vary depending on demand and where you sell the coin. If you're a collector or you're looking to buy, this price range might seem like a great deal for a coin in extra fine condition, especially when you compare it to other coins from the same era. For example, coins in lower grades like fine or very fine could be worth a little less, around $500. But when a coin has a lot of its original details intact, collectors are often willing to pay more. An important thing to note is that even though this coin doesn't have mint mark, the large date variety can still command a premium in the extra fine condition range, especially with coins from the 1970s that are well preserved. The silver content in these coins also adds to their value, making them a solid choice for those interested in silver bullion as well as numismatic value. So there you have it. The 1970 Washington silver quarter, with a large date and no mint mark in extra fine condition, could be worth anywhere from $800 in today's market. It's a great coin to look out for if you're a collector or if you're just getting started. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more coin-related content. Let me know in the comments if you have any 1970 Washington quarters in your collection.